Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So a couple of weeks ago I made a promise that I will share my graphical settings for Assetto Corsa. And yeah, as you can see, or at least in my opinion, it really does look gorgeous, and it's amazing what you can do with a couple of mods and post-processing filters to make this over 10 years old game look this great and this close to realism. It just absolutely stunning. So to achieve this, we are using, of course, the custom shaders patch, Pure and Sky post-processing filters. Not all of this is free, particularly Pure is not free. Custom shader patch is also, there's also a paid version which gives you extra bonuses like rain and so on, but you do not need the paid version to achieve this kind of look, but you will need it if you want a rain. Anyway, this video will be more of a walkthrough on where to obtain them, those mods and everything that you need. Short walkthrough on how to install them, and then we are going to take a look into the settings that I'm using and how you can tweak them for yourself as well. And in the end, just make a little bit of a showcase around a famous track. It's not going to be Nordschleife, I promise, but something else. But I will keep it as a surprise for later. Anyway, let's get into obtaining everything that we will need. And with this, we are going to transition onto my awesome desktop. Righto, first things first, what we need is the content manager. If you don't know Content Manager by now, it's an awesome UI for Assetto Corsa. It makes setting up everything from races onward, sessions and so on, super easy, super more intuitive than the built-in user interface on Assetto Corsa. And it also helps with installing and managing mods and so on. Anyway, Content Manager, all the links are in the description. You need to scroll down quite a bit, download, and you will get a zipped folder with Content Manager inside it. Simply unzip it to a location of your desire and install. Sorry, not install, just run, because Content Manager doesn't need any installing. Right, now that we have Content Manager in place, next thing to move on to is custom shaders patch. Again, this is in the link is in the description. It does have some requirements, so make sure all of this is installed, like Assetto Corsa. Yep, you need that because we're modding this. And the Visual C++ redistributable 2015 x86 is also a requirement. Should be already available or installed on your machine, I'm pretty sure. Download links are to the free versions. Should be enough unless you want rain. If you do want rain, you will have to go to the Patreon page and subscribe as a member to the author to get access to the paid preview versions, which also offer you to get rain and so on. Lights patch zip is downloaded. The lights patch is the custom shaders patch basically, and if we open, there is not much inside it. Easiest way to install it is to simply drag and drop that zip folder into the Content Manager window and install custom shaders patch from there. Right, next thing, what we need is directly from Patreon, from the author Peter Bosey. Sorry, I mispronounced your name. I apologize. Bosey. I'll stop. I do deeply apologize. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, Pure is a weather and graphics mod for Assetto Corsa. you will want to download it. Of course, first you need to subscribe as a member, and then you can download it here from this page. I am using a little bit older version. I haven't upgraded to the latest one yet, but yeah, you get a zip with a couple of files, an install guide, and so on. In the directory, you are greeted with install scripts. Just run install pure or uninstall sol and install pure if you're running sol from before, because you do not need it. And yeah, this will install pure, the mod and post-processing filters, and so on. And the last thing that we are going to obtain is the Sky post-processing filters, which are obtainable from Ray's department. And there is also a link here on how to install to a really awesome video. I cannot make a better video than this one is already here. So I do recommend to watch it to learn how to install everything. But yeah, I've pretty much given you the basics, and we'll add another couple of basics for how to install all that is obtained from that Sky Pure Sol link on Ray's department. In that zip file, you will find two directories: Assetto Corsa and CSP and video settings. Assetto Corsa is meant to be installed manually into the Assetto Corsa directory. So how do we get to the Assetto Corsa directory? Let's open up our Steam library. Go to Assetto Corsa, right click it, click on Manage, and click on Browse Local Files. Here we have the directory where Assetto Corsa is installed, and from our Sky directory we open Assetto Corsa and drag and drop system over to the Assetto Corsa folder. I will not install those again because I already have them there, and I don't need to do so again. Next thing, or next folder, is CSP and video settings. CSP settings, drag and drop onto Content Manager. Simple enough, drag and drop it inside there, you're done. And video settings, you have two presets, Sky Max and Sky Medium. If you have a decent graphics card, I would say 2070 Super 2080 is kind of the bare minimum. Of course, it depends on how many cards you intend to have there. If you have anything lower than that, I would recommend to use Sky Medium, but you have both of them here. You can just double click on them. This will apply and save them in your content manager, and you can of course choose between them. If maybe Sky Max is too much for your PC to handle, you can then decide to choose Sky Medium, or even adjust that a little bit more. And this, I believe, should be everything, and you should have everything installed and are ready to start configuring your graphical settings. Okay, first things first, welcome to the Content Manager. We are in the Settings tab in Assetto Corsa and in Video. Here, what we want to do is rendering mode, use whatever fits you best. For the presentation purposes and walkthrough first, I'll use the single screen. Full screen basically does what it says it does. You can choose a preset resolution or set a custom one. Can limit the frame rate, enable vertical synchronization, and so on. Pretty standard settings. In quality, I use 4x MSAA anti-aliasing. It is sufficient enough, and the 8x doesn't offer as much graphical improvement as it does take resources. The rest here, anisotropic filtering at maximum, world details maximum, shadow resolution at 4K, I'm not running them higher. I haven't even tried it, to be honest. Maximum smoke. Show smoke in mirrors because I want to see them in there as well. Rendering frequency should be set to 2 faces per frame. This is a pure requirement. It should not be static, but it should be dynamic. So 2 faces per frame is the recommended value. So that's what I'm using. Rendering distance, you can gain quite a bit of performance by decreasing this. If you're having problems with performance. Post-processing filters, yep. I have Sky and Sky GT. Pure comes with some of them as well. I'm using Sky primarily and not anything else. Those have been installed from the drag and drop, if you remember from here. That's how you get those. Quality, maximum, no motion blur, 100% saturation, heat simmering, sun rays, FXAA, everything is turned on. Mirrors are of a decent quality, good enough. Oculus pixel per display, this is pretty much a VR, Oculus VR setting. If you want a more crisper image, you can set this higher. It comes at a pretty significant performance impact. That's why I'm using an external Oculus tray tool to set this directly in Oculus and not in the game. So I'm setting it to 1 in the game and then increasing it in Oculus tray tool to get a more crisper image inside my VR headset. The rest is pretty standard, and this is then our video settings for Assetto Corsa. Next batch is custom shaders batch settings. I'm using the default SkyMax 1.80. I have not changed pretty much nothing, but for pure you want to make sure that in WeatherFX this is active and pure is selected. And one other thing that I did enabled is the VR tweaks, because I'm using VR naturally. And the next thing that I just adore are the smart mirrors, and I want those. The smart mirrors is the thing that lets you see your car in the mirrors. Like you can see the body part in the mirror. So that's the only tweak that I made here. Everything else is pretty much as it came with SkyMax 1.80. And that concludes the walkthrough of the settings inside Content Manager. Right, now we're going to jump into the game, because we have yet more settings to go through on that side. Right, and here we are in the game. As I don't know about you, but I think this looks pretty awesome. But yeah, let's go through the steps, what you need to take. Hover here on the top right, click on all apps, and first what we are going to search for is post-processing filter or post-process filter. So just type in post and this should give you this. Open it up, make sure sky is selected and exposure is set to 100%. Right click on sky, click on edit, glare, and set luminance to 1. And vignetting depends on what you want. Since I'm using VR, I don't like this, so I have it set to 0. Usually it's basically how you feel you want to use it. This is more maybe useful for screenshots and so on. But as you can see, there are a lot of settings in here that you can do. You can make the colors a lot more alive, for example, if you would so choose to. Like, yeah, you can see that saturation is having a deep effect. Contrast is also one of such things that you can change. I will not be saving those because I have them pretty much dialed in as I want. Brightness, again, up to you. Sepia is the effect of having everything kind of in the old image, so I don't like that. And so on and so on. Really a lot of options in here. But I usually, or not usually, but in this case, I leave them pretty much stock as they were. I haven't changed anything apart from vignetting. I decreased it to 0 because it just doesn't look right in VR. And luminance I set to 1. Kind of, yeah, I don't know. To me, it makes the image most lifelike, so to speak. Okay, next thing. What we want to look at is search for pure config in all apps. And here we have a lot of things. I'm going to basically just walk you through what I have it set. But when you start out, you want to reset everything to the defaults in the main tab. Go to post-processing filters, and here reset script settings to reset everything to default. But since I've already played around a lot, I think it's okay if I just start by walking you through my settings. AI, pretty much nothing changed here. In Lite, I like to have the hue set to around 5 because it gives everything a little more of a yellowish color, a little more colory feel to everything. Saturation I have set to 1.683. It just gives a more live-like saturation of colors to everything. Sun level is set to pretty low, 0.144, because in VR it's really bright, and I need to set it really low for it to be bearable. Default sun speculars set to 1, ambient hue set to 0, default ambient saturation set to 1 as default, ambient level again down to 0 because otherwise everything is just too bright, advanced ambient light to 1.250, distant ambient light 0 as default for hue, saturation 1 as default, distant ambient level 0433 to make the background a little bit darker, and distant ambient distance to 1.1. And directional ambient light I left as default. Shadows, yes, I definitely want shadows, otherwise without it things just look stupid. You can kind of set the intensity here, but yeah, I leave it on as 1. CSP lights, everything's default. Reflections, saturation, I keep it as 0, otherwise it just, I don't know, turns everything kind of blue for some reason, so I leave it at 0. Reflections level, I have it at 1.499 or 150. It's just controls how much reflections you want. I think that 1.4 or 1.5 looks the best. Emissive boost, yeah, not really sure how much this is changing, but I have it set at 6 point something, I believe it was previously. VAO, I have it set to 1.260, and the rest is as default. Now moving on to night, as you will see later in the presentation, I do like to have my nights very dark, but let's start with night. Light pollution multipliers, I have it set to default 1 and density 1 as default as well. Lowest ambient light during night, the lower the darker the nights will be. I have it set at 0.288. This is really dark already. If you feel that it's too dark for you, you can increase this a little bit. I like to have slight moonlight, not too bright, so I have it set at 0.337, and appearance as 1.058. And stars, I love to see stars, so I have it set for 45.673. Sky, again, hue here I have it set a little bit to the negative side at negative 3.462 to give the sky a little bit more of a bluish hue, and a saturation of 1 with the sky level of 0.240. Anything higher than this, and I don't see the clouds anymore, then everything just kind of blends together and everything's just super bright and everything is just, yeah, white. And I don't like that. Visible sun disk, to me it does make a change because the sun is really bright, so I don't really see the sun here, although I do have the visible sun disk hue set to 5 and disk saturation set to 1. Moving on, clouds render method, if you set to 0, yeah, I don't know, I prefer to keep it as 1. Clouds look more realistic this way, I believe. Everything here is pretty much default, except the brightness. I reduced it a lot because otherwise, again, everything is just way too bright, and contrast I have it set at 1.538. Anything higher and the sky starts becoming way too dark. The blue in the sky becomes really dark, as you can see here. Right here at 5, this is way too much already. It looks like stormy clouds, not like the light clouds anymore, which have no rain on them. So I like to keep this at around 1.587. And the last tab that we're going to look at is post-process. Saturation around 1 and night bounce multiplier at 1.257. The rest is pretty much default. We can expand the PP adjustments. Again, hue around 5, saturation 1, brightness as at 9.962. Contrast at 1.1. Anything more and the nights and everything just starts to look really weird, so that's where I keep it. Color temperature 6,800 is kind of my sweet spot for me personally, and gamma is set at 0.972. God rays, that's a really weird name. God rays are basically, you know, those rays of sunshine that you get when you look directly at the sun, which we will see during the presentation. I have those set at 1.538. Shaders, done nothing. Sound, state, track, all of those things I've not touched so far. Sound, I haven't changed, although you can if you don't like as much wind sound when you're driving along and so on. It's a possibility, for example, and so on. Do remember to click the save button. I've been bitten by this many times where I've forgotten to save my settings and I load back in and the game doesn't look like I've set it up before. And if you want to save it more permanently, you have the export button where you can, I have it saved here in documents, just custom personal pure flat is my latest one. I could just save and overwrite, or you can click on save as below, choose a file. I'm going to call it presentation, or let's call it YouTube walkthrough, and save it. I will upload this as well, so if you would like to have the exact same settings as I'm using, you can just click on import. You will of course download that file, save it in user documents Assetto Corsa config, and click on it and load it. And that's pretty much it. Those are all the settings that I'm using. Now I'm going to jump into VR and do a quick presentation of how my game looks from within VR, during the daytime and during the night time as well. Alright, here we go inside the car on a legendary Le Mans track. I hope I did deliver when I promised a legendary track, which I think this very much is, in the Audi R15 TDI. Why this car? Because it has an open canopy, rather fast, and yep, the open canopy is important because we want to see all the surroundings, all the lighting and everything around it. Driving is a little bit slow because I want to focus more on showcasing things than rather driving quickly, which is why you are here, I presume. And we are going to transition into the morning hours as the sun blasts us as we come from under the Dunlop Bridge. Yeah, the light from the sun is very yellowish in this time of hour. It's very bright and it's making it very hard to see into the apexes and everything, as it would be also in real life. But it's still, everything looks so amazing. The sky, I think, is so pretty, and the shadows as you drive through them, just how they reflect on the car is amazing, as well as when you're driving through the night, as I am over here, where it's pretty much pitch black except from the external lighting and those from the light from your headlights. And I think just the reflections of the external lights and how they light up the cockpit and everything is just, yeah, for lack of a better word, amazing. I think this looks very, very nice. We are going to be now transitioning into a little bit of a bad weather situation, and in the daylight, just to also showcase how it looks like when you are driving in the rain, where you can observe the slight spray in the back from the mirrors, where you can also see parts of the car, which is the effect from having the smart mirrors turned on in Custom Shaders patch. As we are navigating the second chicane on the Moonstone Straight, you can also see a lot of that fog inside the trees, which gives you really that immersive feeling, as well as the puddles with the light reflection. And I think this just looks amazing for a 10-year-old game. It's just, yeah, for, like I said, for lack of a better word, amazing. And do observe how the lights are illuminating the objects on the side of the road. For example, those bollards, how the shadow drops behind them. And we are now going to be transitioning into the evening hours again, because I think running down here to Indianapolis just gives us an awesome shot of those sun rays shining through the trees, which you will see in just a second. I mean, this just, yeah, truly does look really, really great and really immersive, and I think very, very realistic. And that's the way I like to have my graphics set up. I'm pretty sure some of you will make this a lot better, but for me, for the short time that I spent on playing around with this, is just looking great. And once more, we transition back into the night for the final stretch of the lap. Trying to spot some stars, but unfortunately the weather was a little bit too cloudy and stars are unfortunately a little bit hidden. You can also see kind of the light pollution reflecting on the sky from the external lighting, which I think also looks very, very realistic, because there is a lot of lighting around this track and it does light up the surroundings or the sky as well a little bit. Anyway, as we're racing towards the end of the lap, I would like to thank everyone for watching. If you made it this far, please do leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more of such videos in the future. Thank you, and have an awesome day. Bye bye.